Hello and welcome again. Today, as many of you know, I recently went to Martin Station and I purchased this India pattern brown Bess musket. And the one thing that I need to do is put a Flashguard on it. It's a safety device, just like this one came with a hammer stall, but the guy never used this for reenacting. He actually hunted turkeys with it, used it as a 12-gauge shotgun. But anyway, so I wanted to put a Flashguard on here, and I thought I had one in my toolbox, but I've not been able to find it, so I don't know if I've misplaced it or if I've given it to somebody, because I usually kept 3 or 4 in my box, and if we were in an event and somebody didn't have a Flashguard, I would just give them one. They're not that expensive. You can get them for like $7 or $8 from a lot of vendors, a Track of the Wolf, Dixie Gun Works, stuff like that. So I'm gonna set this here. But because I couldn't find one, I went over to storage and I pulled this lock, which it's going to be hard to see stuff on it because it was all rusted. I did hit it with some oil. I'm going to have to go back and pull all of my locks and clean them. The barrels haven't rusted that bad, but all the locks were pretty heavy. And anyway, this is the same lock that's on that gun. So I just figured I would use this as a demonstration on how to remove the Flashguard, and putting it back on will just be simply opposite, because I'm not going to pull that lock off and do it. So it'll be easier to do it with this. So the first thing I'm going to do, as you can see, the lock screws are still in here because I haven't tried them to see if I can loosen them. Let me get the right size screwdriver here. The lighting in this room is not the best. And like I said, part of the reason I thought to do this was because I watched a video from a guy that I had loaned a musket to that came back in less than stellar shape, I'll put it that way. And he was putting a Flashguard on the new musket that he bought, supposedly. But anyway, several things he did. He finally got the Flashguard on, but that is not a way I would recommend doing it. And one of the things he did, he was just using a modern flathead screwdriver, which, especially if you do any gun work, you know they have specific gunsmith-made screwdrivers. Like this one here, a friend of mine made. These right here came out of some sets I bought from Crazy Crow. They're not that expensive. Here's a little hand-forged screwdriver, and it all has to do with the angle on the tips. A modern screwdriver, because a lot of these screws on these locks are very, very thin, so when you try and force a modern screwdriver, and usually they're too thick to actually fit down in, or if you can get the tip edge in, the bevel is so wide that you end up putting a lot of pressure up here on the top edge of the screw, and it wears and boogers the screws up, and it makes it hard to get them out later. This one here actually doesn't look that bad, and eventually, and I may do a video on it, this thing was just totally encrusted with rust. I've used some mineral oil and scrubbed it down, but to actually do a good cleaning on it, I'm gonna have to totally disassemble this. So there may be a video on how to disassemble and clean a musket lock. It's not that hard to do. You just have to remember where all the little tiny pieces go, how they go back in when you reassemble it. It's kind of intimidating, but once you've done it a time or two, it's really not that hard. But for right now, I'm not going to take that off, but I did want to take the side plate off because I do have 2 tools here. I have this is a mainspring vise, and you can use it to remove the frizzen by clamping it on this spring, but even on these big locks, it can be kind of a pain because it's bigger than it needs to be for this lock. It will fit on there to work on this, will not hardly work on smaller rifle locks and stuff like that. And I have this one, and I don't think this is period correct, but you can see it's got a short and longer arms. It is actually designed, and it's got holes so you can move this screw from one end to the other. This actually, and I'm going to do this upside down, And the bottom one on the ends, it has a little notch there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'll try zooming in. That so it can sit under the spring that holds the feather spring in place. And yes, this is called a feather spring. And then you just tighten this end. I should have pre-tightened that some, because it's hard to do this upside down, so it's easier for you to see. But anyway, as it tightens, it depresses this spring here, and it just makes, and that's as far as I need to go, because all you want is to where the frisson will move freely. But before we do that, let's take this back off. And in the video that this person made, he was showing doing it with a wrench. Well, he said to use a 12mm wrench. A 12mm wrench is actually too big, but you can, see, this just barely fits on here, but if you go in and have your pressure on there, slide this in where it's fairly snug, and then when you flip that back, it takes the pressure off because the jaws of the wrench are holding it. I actually prefer, and I couldn't find any because of my house fire, my tools that were in the house, I haven't found all of them yet, is I like the wrenches that are actually curved so it fits right on there. And depending on the size of your spring, you may need an 11. This one's a 10, but the one on this one here actually won't work on that gun. I need an 8 or 9mm to work on actually on the gun, but I'm not going to do that on there. But before I got vices, when I first started doing this is how I would do it. Another way that can be done, I'm going to close that back, and that takes the pressure off of that. And actually, I'll show another way, but I want to get that off first. So I'm going to just put this on here and a few cranks just to where that'll float freely, because all you're doing is taking the pressure off of there because the way this screw is in. And like I said, as far as screwdrivers, a modern screw, now if you have a screwdriver that takes the little inserts where they're tapered and come flat out on the end, those are actually good to use, but it's just a modern screwdriver that has a heavy angle for wood screws is what they're made for. They don't really work that well on these. But as you can see here, I've got this here. And this one here, this is the perfect size for these smaller screws on a lock. And like I said, my friend Donnie Ross made this screwdriver, and he was showing it to me at an event, and I'm like, dude, I really like that. And he was like, do you want it? I was like, well, yeah. I said, what do you want for it? He's like, nothing, it's a gift. I was like, no, man, I'll pay you for it. He's like, no. He's like, I made it. He said, I'll just make me another one. But he made it with spring steel. He copied a period design. I like the way the shape is, but it comes small enough, and he's got the right angle on there that it fits perfectly in these small lock screws, which is what he made it for. And that's one of my favorite screwdrivers. Now the other two I have here, they came in sets. Now I'm taking that out, but I'm going to put this screw back in because I don't want to. And there it is. You got to wiggle that a little bit to get the screw started back in, because once you release that pressure, it pushes that up against the screw, and it's harder than dickens if you actually take this out, because then you've got to try and hold it down and press that spring, and it's just about harder than what you can do. And I'm having a little trouble seeing because, like I said, the lighting in this room is not the greatest. I still have not received my settlement from my insurance. Well, I have from the insurance. Wells Fargo is being a pain in the butt right now, so I'm waiting on a check, the remainder of the funds from paying the house off coming from Wells Fargo, and it's already been a few weeks. So anyway, you can take that off. But another thing you can do, you can push that down, and if you have a small screwdriver that you can fit in here, and then when you let that, you want to pull it out some, because you don't want it right up against where that's going to ride. And this one may be too narrow, but anyway, you can wedge a screwdriver in there like that and then we'll do it. But you want to be careful because you don't want to knock that out. And the problem with using a screwdriver like this or one of these is if it should pop off while you've got things apart, it could cause that spring to overextend and actually snap up here. I've never had it happen to me, but I have seen it happen to other people, and then I've had to replace the spring for them. But I mean, if you're gonna do maintenance on your own musket, it's worth the $20. I think a friend of mine, he was ordering him one and he ordered me one, and I think they were like $20 a piece for that. I've got this one and I've got another one. I think it was in my house in the house fire, and I think it's over with some other stuff. And I paid $25 for one of these at an event. All this is a mainspring vise, and I'm pretty sure it's more of a 19th century, but it does the job. And I'm gonna release this, and just to show you how this works, 'cause like I said, it will fit on that, but it's actually designed to fit on your mainspring. And I'm going to try and hold this where you can see it. Let me get it started and then I'll turn it. And what it does is, this one's already partially, because this is at half cock, it's partially compressed. So you can tighten that up just a little bit more. And it's got a foot that you want a foot right here on this edge, and then somewhere up in here, and then this bar. And what that does, it releases that pressure, so you open that. So once you drop the sear out, anyway, it releases pressure on here, because normally when you pull that off, and this is not wanting to, what is going on here? This spring up here is not wanting to compress properly. But anyway, it should, there we go. I just wasn't pulling it hard enough. And that lets that just freely fly. And I'm going to go ahead and put it all the way down, and I'll show you when I unscrew this just how far this will go. I should have had it down to begin with, because see, the toe was all the way down here in that catch, and that's with it fully forward. And then when you pull it back, that pushes up against that spring, and I had it at half cock, which is right there, and you go on up to full cock. And just to show you this, even though it's been in a fire, this thing is still functional. It's not going to spark because this flint got fried, and it's already a piece chipped off while I was cleaning it, and I did, but it's functional. Now what I'll have to do is, once I take it apart, put a fresh flint, I need to clean the grime off of here and get it, and I may have to re-harden the frizzing, because that's the thing, being in the fire, these springs may have lost their temper and they may not be pushing hard enough. And see, this flint's already just fallen out. The leather that was holding it totally burned up, and that flint's useless now. It's been so hot that it's just going to crack. It's not going to create sparks. Luckily, I had some flints still in my van that weren't actually involved in the fire, so, and I'll just leave that open for right now. But anyway, that's all there is to that right there. So I'm going to set this aside. Like I said, I may do a video later, and this thing's still got some oil, so I'm getting black stuff all over my hands. And the thing is, once I start polishing it, after being in the fire, I think that's going to leave a nice dark brown patina that I won't polish it back to armory bright. I like the older look on some of this stuff. And I will probably get something to put all these parts in. So now to take this, and I probably should clean it and scrub it down a little bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and install it on this lock. And I'm going to do it upside down, so I may have to struggle with it a little bit. But anyway, I could take and polish this and get that black soot off. But as you shoot these, they get a buildup of black crust on the inside anyway. And this is a rather thin Flashguard. I believe this is one that was made by Dennis of Dragonfly Trader, because he makes his own, or a little bit lighter than ones you can get. And I like buying stuff from him. I've known him for a long time, and I prefer to deal with my friends. So anyway, I'm going to set this gun up here like this. We're going to take this vise. I'll set it like this so you can see it. Let me go ahead and get it started. I'm going to go ahead and close that, so we'll put it in a bit of a closed position, and I can get this on there better. And you can see when this is on here like this, it totally encases that, so there's not much of a chance of it actually popping out or cracking and breaking, because it spreads the stress out. So still got a little bit of pressure on it, so this needs to go a little bit more, and it's being a little bit tighter. This actually had a different style nut in here, and it didn't look period enough, and a buddy of mine found these little round ones, and I think I'm going to take the other one and heat it up in the forge and hammer it out to make it look a little more period correct, because this one is just almost too small. There we go. And it's hard to get a grip on it. Okay. There I've got it to where it's just a little bit loose, and that's all we need to be able to get that out. We're going to take this screwdriver right here, and see this screwdriver fits right in that little narrow slot, so there's no boogering up the screw. Like I said, if you want to go watch this other guy's video, you can see him fumbling around with his screwdriver and stuff, and you can tell in his thumbnail that it's already boogered, and he's shooting a brand new Pedersoli. This gun here, I'm at least the third owner of it, because the guy I bought it from said he picked it up from somebody else, and he said it was in real bad shape. I'm surprised this screw looks as fresh as it does. But anyway, all we need to do now is place this in here, and I'm hoping, because it came off of the same style lock, that it's going to, because sometimes you have to reshape the to get it to fit properly, and since it's coming off another India pattern lock, even though the locks aren't all going to be identical, it should be close enough. And then you want to snug it up good, and it looks like it may need to be, let's see, okay, yeah, it's hitting right there, so I need to bend that out just a tad to get it to clear. It's hitting right here, so I may need to go back in and adjust that just a little bit. And let's see, let's tighten this up right there. It doesn't have to be sticking up quite that high. And all I'm doing now is just snugging it up, because if you get it too tight, your frizzing won't want to be free, because this metal is so soft on the lock that it'll start to compress, and then you'll have issues with getting that. Now, that's on there like that. That seems to be clearing good. We'll go ahead and pull this back. Oh yeah. And it's just hanging just a little bit, but I may need to oil that, or I may need to adjust that screw out, because it should have thrown that frizzing open, but it did open enough that the spark went right where it needed to go. And it could just need, where it's been sitting here, I might need to put a little oil on it. There we go. And like I said, I need to rebend that. It's catching and touching just a little bit right there, but that's just something you have to work with, so I'll have to take it back off and rebend it for that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and you found it informative, and thank you for watching.